Women's Education and Research Center, and she was a Principal Emeritus, Woodville Girls College. So this is none other than Mrs. Sherry Shirani Mills. She's going to present us making the transition from school to university to career more meaningful for our young ones. So that young ones doesn't include us. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go, Mrs. Mills. The stage is yours. And I would really please, I'm sure you're going to maintain your time. Let's see, let's give you an award. Oops. Oh, here we go. You're on the stage. You're unmuted now.
Thank you. It was really very interesting listening to all of you, and I'm trying my best not to overlap, and I'll make it very brief. Dr. Varagunan, could you please put my... So we all come from a very kind of, we can go to the next one. We all come from a very traditional society, despite the fact that we are we are in the modern times and all that, but still we all know that as children, our parents and our elders and our grandmothers, they are all people who influence our career choices. And this is, whatever we may say, our children are mostly influenced by the decisions of our parents, and mostly children are asked to, you know, follow certain vocations when they grow up, to choose certain career paths. So the children also do not focus themselves on exploring and looking at their natural bent, what they would like to do, their desire, but just follow suit. So this is a time for us to actually bring about awareness amongst the parent community and the elders in the community about leaving decisions to the children and sort of allowing them to choose their own career paths. So that is something that we as educationists can help out with our community, which is very traditional sometimes, and very sometimes very patriarchal. So these things are there, and traditional aspirations for girls are there, you know, that despite the fact that you want your child to be, say a nurse or a lawyer or a teacher, mostly, you would discourage them from taking on roles that are, taking on roles that are kind of like you would discourage them from taking on a full-time job, say, or taking a job that would involve their whole day of work. You would say, okay, a teacher can have holidays and things like that. We know that the woman's primary role as a future wife and mother and homemaker is the first measure for a woman aspiring to be something in life. For a man, again, if he is a very kind of, you know, very sensitive person, a musician, a tailor, a farmer, a designer, he wants to pursue that career path. You know that in our communities, that wouldn't be thought of as macho. It will be, he needs to take on the role of the protector, the dominant male product provider. So these are little traditional thinking that influences the child's career paths. Can I go to the next one, please? And then again, another big problem that we have is that our whole educational system is exam oriented, so much so that when the children get into school, our first focus is on grade 5 exams, and then the grade 9 provincial exams, and then the O-levels. And there is a mad rush, both by the children and the parents, to somehow somehow give information to children, so that they excel in this grade 5 exam and then again the grade 9 exam. So, and this does not give them an opportunity to develop their other talents like creativity, then like music and other things which are in a society which is in the aftermath of conflict, therapeutic kind of talents and explorations that they should be doing is not permitted, because they have to concentrate on studies. And again, we also had the discussion about tuitions, so I'm not going to go into that. That again is an obsession with our parents and our community, because then that becomes a measure of success of the child also. Measure of success not only for the child, measure of success for the parent and the community. So it becomes a prestige. So we need to somehow find ways to wean students, parents, and educators themselves, teachers themselves, away from exam and tuition syndrome, that I would like to call it. Next slide, please. Then again, you know, in our educational system, rote learning and less hands-on activities is something that hinders proper, wholesome education. So our testing methods also favor rote learning, and that is again a disadvantage to children, because I think it affects them differently. Like girls are sort of, they do not want to be, they want to be creatively involved in things. They are not challenged when it's only merely rote learning. Then again, boys are less inclined to spend time reading through textbooks and writing long answers. So that again is a constraint in our educational system. So we need to, the need of the hour is to encourage research, analysis, and debate by the children themselves, even from the primary. Even from the primary, we need to involve them, to ask them to explore. Say we are talking about the butterfly or something very simple in the primary. You just get them to explore and how to look at observe the development of the butterfly and its day-to-day habit and things like that. So, and also, I also feel that our classrooms also need to be more vibrant, and we need to use varied teaching styles in the classrooms to get the interest of the child, and to push the child into various, to expose them to various fields which they can be involved in the future as a career path. Next one. Then again, so in this kind of situation, when the children come out of school and when they even come out of the university, we haven't heard enough about universities, so I'll concentrate on the schools. When children leave the school, they enter the job, if they are going to enter the job market, they do not have the skills to compete at higher levels. Like they do not have the confidence and the skills to face an interview. So this is something that is lacking in our community. And also to complement general education, which is very academic, we also need to also cultivate. It is there, the system is there, but we as schools and educationists, we do not actively pursue vocational training programs. We actually should have an abundance of vocational training programs, so the children are exposed to different types of vocations and they are able to choose. So that is something that we need to do. And also when it comes to vocational training programs, we also need to cultivate some kind of interaction between potential employers, get their help, and get them to interact with the students. So that will also sensitize the parents to let the children choose what they want. I'm also thinking that it has been spoken about in this forum, I think it would be very good to have career hubs in villages, community centers, say in NGOs, or if it is difficult to have it in schools, this will be a good place where children can come, they can upgrade their CVs, they can write out their CVs, they can help to create, people can help to create their CVs, and to have practice interview sessions, and to expose them to other career options. So this is something I think which will really, really help if we can organize career hubs. It will be good if we can have it in schools, but with all the PACT program, I doubt whether we could, but community centers can have that, so that the children of the villagers can go and avail themselves of this career hub in the suitable locations. This is another thing that in grade 8 or grade 9, we have the World of Work chapter, which sort of gives a kind of an orientation to the world of work, but we do not focus on career development at all during school years. Career development should be taught from grade 9, I think, so that the child grows with these thoughts. It has the opportunity to explore. It has the opportunity to kind of research and find out and talk to people who are there. So that is another thing that we need to focus on, giving them career development. Don't wait till they are in the A-levels. Don't wait till they are in the university. We'll have to go to grade 9 when they're aged 14 and give them, together with that, give them the skills on discussion, debating, research, analysis, preparation. And another thing that we have already talked about, so I'm not going to dwell on it too long, introduce ICT in primary and secondary schools. Let ICT become an educational tool, not as a subject alone, but use ICT as an educational tool, and to get the children to involve themselves in interweb research, things like that, for us to cultivate that practice and habit in schools. And also the STEM subjects and ICT in separately as subjects, and give opportunities for them to pursue all subjects that interest them. Can I go to the next one, please? This is something that will help them, give them exposure to all career options available. Right now, they do not know about the jewelry maker, the handicraft person. So these are all low profile jobs. And although remuneratively they are equally rewarding, parents do not encourage the child. They would rather have their children become an engineer or a manager or a teacher, rather than a little designer or a jewelry maker or an entrepreneur in a small way. So that is some exposure that we need to give them. Right, then also the career paths, and that I'm not going to dwell on that. We have talked about it, so we'll go to the next slide. Right. English language skills, that too has been talked about enough and more. So this is something, but there is a little help, advice that I suppose I could give. English language is important for learning, of course, and the medium, English medium, is available only after grade 6 in most government schools. So, and when the children want to pursue English medium classes, we find that they don't have enough vocabulary, inadequate vocabulary and language skills. So that is a big handicap, because the children begin to think in English, and then when they don't have the vocabulary, adequate vocabulary and language skills, then they struggle in their work, despite the fact that they are brilliant children. So an alternate measure that we could adopt is to equip primary students with extra English classes. This is something that we can really do in schools, where in the primary itself you start English classes, and the English is started in government schools in grade 3, I think. Even in the nursery, in the grade 1 classes, if we can have a little bit of extra English classes, it will expose the children to more vocabulary and language skills. That is something I think will help. Next one, please. Teacher education is something, again, which is very important, because we can talk about career development, we can talk about gender equality, we can talk about all these things. We can talk about identifying autism, but if the teacher is not made aware, it is no point actually, because then the teacher is the one who has control of the class. So she or he needs to know about these things. So when we also have this habit of recruiting teachers just straight after the university without any kind of classroom experience or teaching, which is, I think, it's a handicap. So I think ongoing refresher courses for teachers is a need, is very much a need. So that is something that we could focus on. And the teachers also should be able to critically look at gender stereotypes and norms which limit both, not only girls, but also boys in their job pursuits. That is also something. And also teachers need to be vibrant and need to adopt varied pedagogical styles in the classroom, so that the classroom becomes an interesting and interactive and vibrant component in the educational system. I'm wrapping up. So attitudes of society and impact on career aspiration was the first that I was talking about. Give children back their childhood. I emphasized on exam-oriented tuition syndrome. Then again, sharpening the skills at school, career hubs and things like that. School to work transition, give them opportunity to research and to analyze, and earlier orientation, that again was something that we all talked about. Exposure to all jobs available, not merely selected jobs. And then English and linked language skills is something that we would need. And teacher education. With that, I'd like to conclude my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Wow, Mrs. Mills, I wish you were my principal when I was at school. Only the Woodville girls had the good fortune of you being the principal of them. You brought up some very interesting issues here about the stereotyping. When you speak about a nurse, you always say, can you call her? But you know what, in Western countries, the nursing means it's a men profession and a women profession. It's not the nurse. Same thing when you talk about a neurosurgeon or an orthopedic surgeon, it's always a he.
Yeah.
Why not? We have great orthopedic women, orthopedic surgeons, truck drivers especially, or a bus driver. It's always a man. So I think you brought up a very interesting and very important issue. I'm not going to go into gender equality and all that. That's totally a separate issue here.
Yeah.
I want to actually bring out a very quick, thought. This is my own thought. I don't want to open a big can of worms here. I mean, all stress on learning English, and especially in the North and South and all that. But personally, I think that's very important. Also, I think every Sri Lankan should know both languages.
Yeah.
A kid in North should know Sinhalese, and a kid in South should know Tamil. You know, there are lots of nurses working at the hospitals in Jaffna. Yeah. Now they're learning Tamil and they converse very well. And I mean, we were fortunate. Mata Singaling Kata Karanda Puluang, Mata Singaling Lianda Puluang. Thanks to we were brought up in Colombo. But I think if we brought this advocate for the languages, first let us learn our national languages. Every kid in North and East should learn Sinhala, and every kid in the South and in the center should learn. I mean, I don't want to open a big debate here. And
no, that's very true, because I have also mentioned it as linked language. I've also, so I think, but that's a very relevant point. It is important.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mills. Again, I think we are running really short of time. It's I think 9:45 in Sri Lanka. I sound like a radio jockey now.